Alright, I'm Thomas,
Maddie.
and we're doing our presentation on credit unions. So to start off, we just have a few questions to ask everyone. The first one is, who in this classroom has money?
Everyone.
Okay. Who saves their money? Everyone. Who uses a bank to store their money and everything? Okay, everyone. And who uses a credit union?
I do.
So 2 people. Okay. And then who can name some credit unions? Can you the Honda?
Yeah.
Able to name one.
Honda credit union.
The Honda credit union. Can anyone else name any others?
Jeep Country.
G Country.
Jeep
Oh,
Country.
it's like G Country. That sounds
G
like-
Country.
Bellevue Firelands Credit Union. I know back home there's the Ohio University Credit Union.
We had a Cardinal credit union.
We was
back
St.
home.
Joe's Credit Union.
So what do all of these names kind of have in common?
They're all local.
Exactly, and that's one thing that we're going to talk about with credit unions is how they tie together with their members. And then Maddie's going to...
Alright, we're going to make a Venn diagram over here on my lopsided thing over here. So, does anyone know anything about credit unions that's different than a bank? Okay. I'll start you guys off. They are smaller. How are you over here? DJ?
Not for profit.
And I can't really spell, guys, so don't make fun of me. Or do, it's okay. Okay, anyone else?
Aren't credit unions usually local? Like, they only serve a certain amount of people or a certain area?
Typically.
You have to be a member somehow, like through a company.
Yes, credit unions are member-owned, where banks are shareholder-owned. Okay. Anything else, guys? All right. Well, similarities. They all have ATM services, offices, and they have traditional financial, like you could have a checking account or a saving account, and there are loans offered at both of them. So they do traditional things.
So as you can tell from this Venn diagram, really the main difference between a credit union and a bank, as we've come together as a group to see, is pretty much how they're owned. So we're going to go ahead, watch this short video that's going to introduce us a little bit into what a credit union is.
What is a credit union and how is it different from a bank? Have you ever wondered why there isn't a bank that puts people before profits? Sounds too good to be true, right? Well, actually, there is a bank that puts people before profits. It's called a credit union. A credit union is a financial cooperative where people come together to help each other reach their financial goals. We call it people helping people. Credit unions are locally run by a volunteer board of directors who are members, maybe even your neighbors, so they care about you and your family. Banks, on the other hand, are run by a paid board of directors that answers to a small group of investors, not to you. Most of the time, the board of directors and investors of a bank don't even live in your community. Credit union directors make decisions on your behalf for the benefit of all members and the credit union. Because credit unions are non-profit, after expenses are paid and reserves are set aside, surplus earnings are returned to members in different ways, such as lower interest rates on loans, higher interest rates on savings, and lower fees. And credit unions offer more free services than banks. Because banks are for-profit, bankers make decisions that increase their profits at your expense, and they return those profits to the investors who own the bank. With a bank, you have no voice. Only investors have a voice. When you open an account at a credit union, you become a member owner with 1 share. Because credit unions are democratically run, that share gives you a voice. Think of it this way. The bank cares about profits. The credit union cares about you. Why is a credit union better than a bank? People before profits means you save money when you bank at a credit union. And because credit unions are owned by their members, that's you, you're treated with respect by people who know your name. At a credit union, you're not just a number. Since credit unions are local with accessible management, that means you get faster decisions that are based on common sense solutions specific to you. Common sense decisions are made on your behalf right here, not in some big city far away by management who don't even know you. So what sounds better to you? A bank whose decisions are made based on investor returns? Decisions that cost you money? Or a credit union whose decisions are local and driven by what is best for your personal financial well-being? Decisions that help you maintain your financial security, dignity, and help you save money. Remember, the bank cares about profits. The credit union cares about you. Why is BFG for me?
Kind of gets into one specific one. So, just from this video, what can we tell that credit unions are trying to paint the picture of banks to look like?
The bad guy.
The bad guy, the guy who tries to steal your money, messes with your money, everything like that. Essentially, that's what a bank can be. Doesn't mean that they are. So, Maddie's going to go ahead and compare the definitions between a credit union and a bank.
Okay, so a credit union is a member-owned financial co-op. These institutions are created and operated by its members, and profits are shared amongst the owners. Banks are a financial institution licensed as a receiver of deposits. There are two types of banks: commercial, retail banks, and investment banks.
So, once we get in here, we're going to throw up a little bit of the traits that we came together and thought of credit unions to be. The first one is a cooperative. Does anyone know what the exact definition for a cooperative is?
Working together.
Essentially, yeah. It kind of goes along with the third bullet point, share a common membership theme. What co-ops typically are in a small town situation, or even a big town situation, is a group of people who do business with one thing. They come together, and from there, they are essentially the stakeholders. They make the decisions, they vote on things like that, and they essentially try to run the business. Like what DJ said, credit unions are not-for-profit organizations. What does this mean? They don't have to pay anyone but their bank tellers or people who are sitting at the desk and doing the everyday transactions. Again, share a common membership theme. We kind of talked about that. With this, people who work at Honda are going to go to the Honda credit union. There's going to be teacher credit unions, anything like that, veterans credit unions, things like that. Pretty much this is going to tie in with the next one too, elected board of directors. This is a big thing that credit unions have over banks. What a board of directors is the people who make all the decisions. And in banks, that's going to be all the people who are getting paid the big bucks. They run the bank. They own the bank. Things like that. With an elected board of directors, as it pertains to a credit union, the members who own the credit union are going to vote on a set of people who they want to make the decisions for the credit union. This is a voluntary position. You're not necessarily getting paid for this, but everyone who's a member there is putting their trust in you to make the best decision on what they want with the money that the credit union has. So with the elections, every member has a voice in the organization. Again, it's just like politics. You vote for someone who's going to best represent what you want to do. This is another big thing about credit unions. They're going to pay the expenses, then use the profit to benefit the members. What this means is the money that they essentially will make off of you, they're going to go ahead, they're going to pay their rent bills for the branch that they have. They're going to pay their employees who are there every day. And then with that, they're going to use the rest of the profit to benefit you as members. This is going to, as we're going to explain later, benefit you in, on your accounts, on your loans, things like that. And then one big thing about credit unions is they have small branch offices. Sometimes they'll have 3 or 4, but they're not going to be like a Fifth Third. They're not going to have one in every city that you go to in the United States.
Okay, now we're going to talk a little bit about banks. Like we have up on the board, the shareholders own the company, and they try to maximize profits, which is different than credit unions and how credit unions keep turning everything back around to their members. Banks don't really do that. They make their money. They do what they can for you, but their customer service is not really the same as it would be at a credit union. Banks are also a one-stop shop for banking, and they're large centralized companies. They are also heavily populated. I don't know about you guys, but on like a Saturday morning, if I'm going to, well, this was more like when I lived at home, but if I was like going to cash a paycheck or something, I would be at the bank for like a half hour because there's so many people. I had PNC waiting in line at a bank at a Saturday morning. With a credit union, you probably wouldn't have to wait as long because there's less people. Some things that they have in common, like we said before, there are local offices. Credit unions, like he mentioned, there are not as many, but there are still most offered in the places that, in the areas that they are needed. There are also ATM services, and a problem that people who are like PNC Bank, for example, problem that I have is if I go to, say, a Fifth Third Bank and take out money at an ATM, I'm charged like a fee just for using that. Credit unions have lower fees because they know that there are less ATMs available. So like your fees will be lower. So they like are understanding about that. There are also online banking services for both. Credit unions also don't have like as high tech or as many options for the online banking services, but they are available. And both offer loans, savings, and checking accounts.
One thing to keep in mind about these is you're kind of going against the small town company versus the big corporate company in this. So when you're seeing, they both do have ATM service and they both do have online banking services, you have to keep that in mind because where you're going to get benefits from the corporate place, you're getting everything that the small credit union can get based on their money. So a question that you're probably asking is, why should I use a credit union? It doesn't seem like they're that much different from a bank, which is totally understandable. The one thing that you can do with a credit union is you have credit flexibility. So just like we were talking about in the last one, credit history, this thing's awesome. Let's see, where was I? Like we were talking in the last one, credit history is huge when you're going to get a loan. They're going to check it to make sure that you can pay them back. They're going to make sure that they want to get their money. Well, at a credit union, it's a smaller family feel to it. So they're going to be a little bit more flexible in working with giving you a loan, getting you what they need, setting up a different kind of payment plan. And this really becomes from being a small, closer atmosphere. You're going to get better service. Just like I said, smaller branches equal a more personal service. You go in, you're going to know the person at the teller the whole time. You're going to be able to talk to them. You may even know them from something else. Maybe you used to work with them and they're retired or something like that. Credit unions are way more customer focused. Again, you get your say with them. You have an elected board of directors who are keeping your interests in mind. It's all voluntary. So they're there to represent you. It's not like a bank where they have their appointed board of directors where they're getting their huge checks at the end of every month. You have fewer account rules. One thing when I was researching this is I found out that some banks on their accounts have hidden rules in there. You have to have certain accounts with certain interest rates. You have to make certain amount of deposits a month with a certain amount of dollars, or a certain amount of withdrawals each month with a certain amount of dollars. Otherwise, they're going to hit you with a $200 fee. At a credit union, more times than not, you're not going to find an account like this. You're not going to be able to stumble your way into an account like this and then have to pay those charges simply because you didn't know what was going on. And then one of the bigger reasons to use a credit union is customers' rewards from profit. Lower interest rates on loans is a huge thing at credit unions. Same thing with higher rates on your savings account, so you're going to make more money in the long run on your account just for doing business with them. And a lower to no monthly/annual account fees. Some accounts, you may have to have like a minimum balance or something there. If you don't, they're going to tack on a fee. With this, the credit unions aren't going to tack on fees to any of your accounts just for doing business with them. So this is kind of a little diagram that I found that I think really explains how a credit union works because it can be confusing. So we're going to start right here with member A. He's going to make a $1,000 savings deposit to the credit union. So the credit union is going to throw $100 here, and they're going to save the $100. They're going to loan out $900 to member B who wants to go and buy a new car. So he, over time, is going to come here. He's going to pay off his loan with 4% interest, making it $936. So the next step from here is you are rewarded $25 in your savings account just for giving them $1,000 and letting them do this business. The next step is a credit union is going to pay off their profits, or not pay off their profits, pay off their expenses, and the whole cycle essentially gets restarted again here. So like I was saying, the benefits that you can get from being a member here are huge because where at any Fifth Third, PNC, anything like that, are you going to see $25 pop into your savings account just because you do business with them? It's not going to happen very often, but at a credit union, there's no profits, so it all gets returned back to their members. So we have a little activity.
I'm going to pass out a crossword puzzle for you guys. You could just work with whoever's sitting at your little table.
And just get in group. I kind of forgot the prize.
Yeah, we had a prize, so you could have that next week.
Or, I was going to put a word bank on there, but it was like too easy.
Which is so cool.
Oh, wait, you're.
For, can I give someone the answer here?
There's going to be answer too hard.
Hold on, let me get my answer.
Oh, no, I feel
Where did I skip? Sorry.
One after.
Is this
Oh, you gave me.
I'm giving you a red CRE.
Okay, how much when I come back?
Oh. Okay.
Wait, what did I do?
Oh. Yeah, there's some plurals in there, guys.
And a space.
And a space. Number 7 has a space.
Space? Yeah, that's why I was confused.
And number 9 has a slash. Is that called slash? A dash. Slash or dash or something?
See, if it was credit unions, and all
So there's
So hot, it's just stupid.
yeah.
Almost what am I asking? Actually, there's a lot of dash in here. Number 10, too.
It's $13 rates.
Oops, maybe there's an extra.
And
Put an E after
You should put a sports bank.
If there's E,
We just wanted to challenge you guys about credit unions. That was the goal. Really just wanted to waste a bunch of time.
us. I don't know, Greg.
I started running out of words, so I started using like small words.
No, leave the R. No, I started.
I actually did. That's really cool. And I hated word search labs so bad.
Word search might be a little better.
is one maximized.
I'm surprised they actually all like was one puzzle.
Corporation.
No,
Just corporations.
This
That means 8 is in the community there.
voted, right? Appointed.
Oh, this is how I said it. I put who.
How you doing?
Okay, we get.
What?
What'd you get for number?
Didn't get that yet.
Which one do you have a question?
Oh, you got your white
One
out.
credit union directors.
That's all you know.
8 across. Ranking the question.
Very sharp end on
Credit union. Where's 5?
Hey guys, force.
I don't know, I just guess.
Board one down. Small.
You have a pen, you have that word out. You hear that?
Oh, there is.
No.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not plural.
Something in.
I mean, I really need to. Good job, Crosshair.
Yeah, you let us out at like 5:55. I was like,
Isn't that
look, it's usually you'll respond.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you. Not that I don't care.
I got you.
That's your favorite.
9 down is
More hints, man.
there's a dash, which means there's a dash and 10 across.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's
9
2 dashes on 10 across.
Oh, great. It's a dash.
The dead?
It's cool. For 10. I didn't even read this 10.
You guys stuck with it?
Okay, I'll have a pen.
Profit.
I'm kind of working with them, but not really.
Oh, okay.
just giving you guys
Oh, there's
You're
another
that
dash.
good.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
kind of a combination.
independent.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Refund.
Number 4.
No.
Really?
Branches. Oh,
The president.
Did you get a weapon?
But he has 12
Who? I do? Oh,
spelled wrong.
no, you told me how to spell it.
No, like I spelled it wrong.
Oh.
I don't know. And an E and a C and a T.
So credit union.
Interesting.
Credit union.
Plural or not?
What do you have for a living?
Check read out.
Yeah.
It's from the
Outrageous.
Oh, Jesus, Kyle.
Dude, 60 rates? Is this
What does that mean?
No?
Second letter is U.
I understand that, but I spelled this wrong.
Yeah, he said it's right.
Okay, so that means that's spelled wrong too.
Which one's spelled wrong?
girls watch.
Winners! Woo!
They won?
Bingo.
We're down.
Bingo.
Did you get ours?
No, it was
It's not rates.
rules.
16 is
Do something for working by yourself.
Did the whole thing by myself.
Yeah, it was rules.
What?
Who's close?
We're finished
We're
now.
almost done.
Almost done.
We're done.
Well,
We
I
tried.
have, for the rest of you, I have some Girl Scout cookies
I
here.
don't know who.
So,
I'm done.
if you would like Girl Scout cookies, take a napkin so you can grab it and put it somewhere. And there are two kinds. There are Thin Mints and Samoa.
Do you think I'm like creeping on you? I'm like over here. No, I guess we
So far, we're on a pace of 1 meal after workout.
Alright guys, so just after what you have learned today, who is more likely to open up their next account with a credit union? Or has a plan to open one in the future?
We got 2 people, so.
I'm already in a credit.
So, pretty much, just wrapping things up. I think, obviously, we're all going to be teachers one day, and we're not going to be overly wealthy. So, joining a credit union is probably going to be in our best interest, just because of all the benefits that it offers you. I mean, you can save a ton of money with it. You can have some advantages over people. And in general, I think it's just best to look out for yourself by joining a credit union as a teacher. If anyone has any questions,
Any questions, guys? Anything about credit unions you're dying to know? Alright.
You went over all the positives of credit union, but what is there any negatives? I mean,
I kind of talked about negatives, how there's fewer branches, fewer ATMs, but you do have less fees.
they're harder to get in. Everybody in the class that doesn't have credit unions, but that's why
I think probably a negative is not every job has a credit union, and not every neighborhood has a credit union. So essentially, people are a little bit misinformed of how they work, and they are smaller. So sometimes, if there's someone needs a large loan for a business or something, they're probably not going to be able to go to a credit union for that because there may not be enough money there.
And it's just easier to be a bank, right? I mean,
Another thing is essentially the mobility. If you're on vacation, you're going to have to eat that $3 charge to take out.